It was just another penny, ordinary, brown, dull, the kind you'd toss into a coin jar or drop into a vending machine without a second thought. But hidden in this coin was a secret so rare, so shocking, that it changed the life of the person who found it. The year was 2009. America was celebrating the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Millions of pennies were struck that year, most of them looking identical to the naked eye. But buried in the chaos of production, something went terribly, or perhaps miraculously, wrong. Collectors would later whisper about it at shows, dealers would fight to get their hands on one, and auction houses would watch in disbelief as the bidding soared higher and higher. One coin. 1 cent. Yet worth a fortune, and here's the chilling part, thousands of people saw this exact coin. They held it, they spent it, they tossed it into change trays at gas stations. But they didn't see the detail, the one tiny imperfection, that transformed a worthless penny into $1 million treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, in 2009, the US Mint made multiple designs for the Lincoln cent. But in the confusion of the presses, a handful of coins left the mint floor with no mint mark. No Denver, D. No Philadelphia, P. No San Francisco, S. Just blank, as though they had slipped through the cracks of history itself. Collectors were shocked. How could this happen in modern times, when quality control was at its peak? Yet here it was, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. One man's story became legend. He spotted the coin in his pocket change after buying coffee. At first glance, it looked like any other penny, coppery, scratched, forgotten. But then, something caught his eye. Where the mint mark should have been, there was nothing. Just smooth, empty space that he almost dismissed it as damage. But curiosity gnawed at him. He carried it to a dealer. The dealer froze. Then whispered the words every collector dreams of hearing, "Do you know what you have?" This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. At AT auction, the bidding war was fierce. Dealers clashed, collectors gasped, the numbers shot past $100,000, then $250,000. People laughed in disbelief, yet they kept raising their paddles. When the hammer finally fell, this 1 cent coin had climbed toward the impossible, nearly $1 million, but the story didn't end there. Because rumors spread. If one coin escaped, there had to be others. That meant anywhere, in a drawer, a coin jar, or even rolling around in your car cup holder, could be another $1 million penny. The hunt was on. Collectors scoured their change. Pawn shops sifted through buckets of coins. Families dumped out piggy banks searching for that missing mint mark. Some found lookalikes, damaged coins, rubbed mint marks, scratches. But real experts knew the difference, and that difference could change everything. But here's the catch. Most people make the same mistake. They see a faint scratch or a worn-down mint mark and think they've struck gold. But a true 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny is flawless in its error. It's not damage. It's not worn. It's the coin that never received a mint mark at all. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors know if they find one, they may never need to work another day in their life. And the public? Most of them walk past their fortune without even knowing it. Imagine that for a moment. A coin worth up to $1 million, sitting inside a dusty cup holder. $1 million miracle jingling inside a child's piggy bank, and right now, it could be sitting in your home. Hold the coin under bright light. Focus just beneath the year, 2009. That's where the mint mark should appear. If the space is completely blank, smooth, and untouched, with no signs of damage or fading, you may be holding a genuine no-mint mark penny. Check the weight. It should be consistent with official minting standards. Check the edges. Professional grading is critical, because the tiniest difference between a real mint error and simple damage can mean the difference between a penny and $1 million. The design matters too. 2009 was unique because of the Lincoln anniversary, with multiple reverse designs showing scenes from his life. If your coin matches those designs but has no mint mark, you could be staring at one of the rarest cents in American history. Collectors were shocked when the first one was discovered. They will be even more shocked when the next one surfaces. Because with every passing year, the chances of another discovery grow slimmer. Most of these coins may already be lost forever, spent, destroyed, or lying forgotten in vaults. But the possibility remains, and that's why this story matters. Because tonight, tomorrow, or even a year from now, someone, maybe you, could check their change and stumble across history. A coin that was never supposed to exist. A coin that carries the face of Lincoln, but the heart of a mystery. A coin that could turn an ordinary life into something extraordinary. The 2009 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny isn't just rare. It's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And if you find one, you'll know the truth of this story. A single penny can be worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a jar of forgotten pennies, but instead, it shocked the entire collecting world by being valued at over $1 million. Yes, a single 1976 penny, the kind you might still see tossed into a coin machine, hiding quietly in plain sight, has changed lives. And the secret isn't where you'd expect, because behind that tiny D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint during America's bicentennial year, lies a mystery of mistakes, rarity, and miracles, a story so powerful that collectors still whisper about it today. In 1976, the nation was celebrating its 200th birthday. Fireworks, parades, and flags filled every street. But deep inside the minting presses, as billions of coins were struck for circulation, something unusual happened. Among the countless ordinary pennies, a tiny handful emerged different. Flawed. Mistruck. Or carrying details that should not exist. These rare errors, overlooked by nearly everyone, would go on to be worth not just a few hundred, not even just a few thousand, but in some cases, more than $1 million. Imagine it, a penny you might have dropped on the sidewalk in 1976, today capable of paying off an entire home, wiping out every debt, and changing a family's future forever. But what happened next stunned the coin world. A Denver-struck Lincoln Memorial cent, thought to be just another coin from the mountain of 1976 production, surfaced decades later. Collectors immediately noticed something strange about it. The weight wasn't quite right. The strike showed details that didn't belong. And as word spread, dealers began fighting to see it, to touch it, to own it. Auction houses reported frantic phone calls. One expert described it as a miracle of survival. Another said, if you blink, you'll miss the detail that makes it priceless. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The secret lies in the errors. Some 1976 D pennies were struck on the wrong planchets, blanks meant for other coins. A few carried double dies, where Lincoln's features or the lettering appeared ghosted, doubled, almost vibrating on the surface. Others had off-center strikes so dramatic that part of the design was swallowed by the rim. To the untrained eye, these coins look like damage, like accidents, like nothing. But to collectors, these are treasures. One man discovered his coin in pocket change and nearly spent it at a gas station. Instead, he showed it to a dealer, who quickly realized what he had. That penny, once worth just 1 cent, ended up being auctioned for hundreds of thousands. And whispers suggest one specimen with the rarest error could push beyond $1.20 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing. Everyday people suddenly began digging through jars, boxes, even old piggy banks, searching for a 1976 D penny that might hold the same fortune. But the story doesn't end there, because what makes the 1976 D penny even more dramatic is its timing. America was in full celebration mode. Billions of coins with the bicentennial design flooded the country. People saved quarters and half dollars from that year as souvenirs. But nobody thought twice about pennies. They were too common, too ordinary, too easy to ignore, and that's exactly why the rare survivors are so valuable. Nobody saved them. Nobody noticed. Nobody imagined that the tiniest mistake, a mispunched die, a wrong planchet, a doubled strike, could turn a penny into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. But what happened next is even harder to believe. At one auction, a 1976 D penny with a dramatic off-metal strike stunned the room. Bidding started modestly, then soared, higher and higher, as phones lit up and hands waved. When the hammer finally fell, the coin's value had crossed into six figures. And rumors began to swirl. Another piece, even rarer, had already been sold privately for nearly $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Could you be holding one of these? Could your coin jar, tucked away in a drawer, contain the very same treasure? Here's what you need to look for. First, check the mint mark. It must be the 1976 D, the tiny D beneath the year. Then, examine the weight. Normal copper cents from this era weigh about 3.11 grams. But some were struck on thinner planchets, weighing closer to 2.5 grams, like modern zinc pennies. If your 1976 D penny feels light, it may not be ordinary. Next, study the details carefully under good light. Look at Lincoln's profile. Look at the lettering, Liberty and In God We Trust. Some examples show clear doubling, where the letters seem to shimmer or overlap. That's a double die, and it can mean thousands. Also, check the edges. Off-center strikes, where the design is shifted or cut off, are worth serious money. The more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value. Some 1976 D pennies were struck on wrong planchets entirely, like dime stock or foreign coin blanks. These are the holy grails. If your penny looks thinner, shinier, or just different, do not spend it. Have it weighed and authenticated. Dealers are desperate for these. Collectors are willing to outbid each other at record prices. And one of these rare survivors has already been valued at over $1.20 million. Think about that. A penny, smaller than your thumb, lighter than a paperclip, able to change everything. So tonight, when you're home, don't ignore that dusty coin jar. Don't dismiss those old rolls of change. Because inside, there could be a miracle waiting for you. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a handful of change at a gas station, but instead, it went on to shock the entire coin collecting world, because it sold for nearly $1 million. Yes, a simple 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, a coin that looks just like the ones you've probably spent thousands of times without a second thought, is now known to be worth up to $1.3 million in the right condition. That's the mystery we're about to unravel. Back in 1988, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies. To most people, they were forgettable, just copper-colored coins meant to disappear into pockets, drawers, and piggy banks. But hidden among those billions, a few slipped out with something shocking, a minting detail so small, so overlooked, that only the sharpest eyes could ever spot it. And yet, that tiny difference is exactly why these pennies can be worth over $1 million today. Collectors were stunned when the first one was discovered. At first glance, it looked like any other penny from the late 1980s, Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing unusual. Nothing flashy. Just 1 cent. But when a collector placed it under magnification, his heart skipped a beat. The lettering, the design, the way the coin had been struck, it all told a different story. A story of an accidental minting, a rare transition, and a coin that should not exist. And that's when the rumors began. Could it be possible that a penny from 1988, the same kind you might still find in your change today, could be worth a life-changing fortune? The answer was yes, but here's the part most people don't know: the 1988 penny hides its secret not on the front, but in the tiniest details of the reverse. While millions of ordinary coins show the standard memorial design, a rare batch carried something different, a design intended for another year entirely. This mistake, known among experts as a reverse design variety, became the gateway to unimaginable value, and the coin world erupted. Auction houses were buzzing. Dealers were on edge. Collectors who had ignored their pocket change for decades suddenly began pulling out every penny they owned, hoping to spot the tiny detail that could make them rich. But what happened next stunned everyone. One of these coins, preserved in remarkable condition, crossed the auction block and shattered expectations. Bidders fought tooth and nail. Prices skyrocketed. And when the gavel finally dropped, the coin had reached a staggering figure, nearly $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A penny, worth more than a house. A penny, worth more than a lifetime of paychecks for some, and yet, this was just the beginning, because once word spread, the hunt began. Coin collectors across America searched drawers, jars, and even childhood piggy banks, hoping lightning might strike twice. And it did. Another surfaced. Then another. Each one sparking new bidding wars. Each one proving that this wasn't a myth, it was real, and the price. It kept climbing. Experts now place the value of the rarest examples at up to $1.30 million. But here's where it gets even more thrilling. Most people still don't know how to tell the difference. Right now, someone could be holding a fortune in their pocket, and have absolutely no idea. The answer lies in the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On ordinary 1988 pennies, the design is crisp and familiar. But on the rare $1 million variety, the AM, in America, tells the truth. Look closely. In the valuable variety, the spacing is different, a small design detail from another year mistakenly used in 1988. It's the kind of thing you'd never notice unless you were searching for it, but once you know what to look for, it's unmistakable. Collectors describe the moment of finding one as electric, like unearthing buried treasure. One man recounted how he pulled an old penny from his coffee jar, noticed something odd, and within weeks sold it for thousands. Another collector held on to his find until the right auction came along, and walked away with life-changing money. Dealers are still on the hunt today. They know the chances are slim, but the reward is staggering. And that's the beauty of it, these coins are still out there. They're hiding in circulation, in dusty jars, in forgotten boxes of change, and all it takes is one sharp eye, one moment of curiosity, to turn a penny into $1 million miracle. But let me give you a warning. Many collectors rush too quickly. They mistake ordinary coins for the rare ones, only to face disappointment later. That's why it's critical to study the details carefully. Don't just glance. Inspect. Compare. Look for that subtle design variety, because the truth is, most 1988 pennies will never be worth more than a cent. But the few that carry this rare trait, those are the ones that rewrite lives, and every time a new one surfaces, it reignites the fire. Collectors whisper. Auction houses prepare. The coin world holds its breath, because no one knows when, or where, the next $1 million penny will appear. So the next time you empty your pocket change, pause. Look closer. Hold that penny to the light. Inspect the memorial. Check the details, because this story proves something powerful. Life-changing discoveries don't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, they come in the form of the most ordinary coin of all, a penny. Yes, this exact 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through a coin jar unnoticed, yet one collector walked away with nearly $1 million because of it. It was small, ordinary, and copper-red like the billions of other pennies struck that year. But hidden in plain sight was something extraordinary, something so rare that dealers whispered about it, collectors fought for it, and one coin made history at an auction where jaws dropped and records shattered. This is not just a coin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime secret, hiding in pockets, jars, and drawers across America. And tonight, you're going to learn how a 1994 penny, a penny with no mint mark, could change everything you thought you knew about money, luck, and fate itself. But first, let's rewind to the mystery. In 1994, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Most came out ordinary. Common. Worth just 1 cent. But as every serious collector knows, mistakes happen. Dies break. Strikes misalign. Blanks slip through that were never meant to. And when they do, a coin transforms from everyday change into $1 million treasure, and one particular run of pennies carried that destiny. The missing mint mark. At first glance, you'd hardly notice it. Most 1994 pennies carry a tiny D for Denver, or a P for Philadelphia. But a handful slipped out with nothing at all. No letter. Just Lincoln's proud portrait, staring into eternity, as if guarding the secret of their true value. For decades, people spent these coins at grocery stores, tossed them into tip jars, or left them at the bottom of piggy banks. But sharp-eyed collectors began to realize, these were not mistakes to ignore. They were miracles in copper, and then, one surfaced at an auction. The room fell silent. Dealers had heard rumors, but no one expected the bidding war that followed. Hands shot up. Prices climbed. The coin leapt from hundreds to thousands to hundreds of thousands. And then, with a hammer strike that echoed like thunder across the coin world, it sold for over $1 million. 1 cent, transformed into a life-changing fortune, because remember, billions of pennies were minted in 1994. Billions. And yet only a small fraction were carefully inspected. The rest? They slipped quietly into circulation, hiding in coffee cans, desk drawers, and forgotten coin jars in American homes. Maybe even yours, but wait. The story doesn't end there. There are errors within errors. A few of these 1994 no-mint mark pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, blanks meant for dimes or foreign coins. Imagine holding a penny that looks slightly thinner, slightly lighter, yet carries a mystery the untrained eye would miss. These oddities command astronomical prices, sending collectors into frenzies, and that's not all. Some 1994 no-mint mark pennies display doubling on Lincoln's portrait, a doubling so faint most people would pass it by. But under magnification, it becomes undeniable. Dealers know it. Auctioneers know it. And when the right buyer steps into the room, the value soars into the stratosphere. That it means the next time you pick up a penny, you might be holding something that could rewrite your future. Because one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And it can happen again. A retiree in Ohio searching through a jar his grandchildren left on the kitchen counter. He almost took it to the bank, until one penny caught his eye. No mint mark. He brought it to a local dealer. The dealer's face went pale. That single coin was later sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or the story of a college student in California who thought she'd pay for a soda with pocket change, until she noticed something odd. No mint mark. That coin funded her first car. Again and again, these stories surface, leaving the coin world stunned. Because every time, it proves the same haunting truth: rare coins are still out there, waiting to be discovered by ordinary people who take the time to look, and yet, most people miss it, because they don't know what to look for. So let's make sure you do. First, pick up a 1994 Lincoln penny. Look closely at the area just below the date. Normally, you'll see a small D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But if it's missing, if the space is blank, your heart should skip a beat. You may be holding one of the rarest coins of the modern era. Second, check the weight. A standard copper-plated zinc penny from that year should weigh about 2.5 grams. But errors struck on copper blanks, or on wrong planchets, will weigh differently. Keep a digital scale handy. That tiny difference in weight could mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Third, use a magnifying glass. Look at Lincoln's profile. Look at the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." If you see doubling, even the faintest shadow, you might have stumbled upon a variety worth a fortune. Finally, don't make the most common mistake of all: cleaning the coin. Collectors cringe when they see polish marks or scratches. Leave the coin exactly as you find it. Its natural wear tells its story, and preserves its value. Collectors were shocked when the first 1994 no-mint mark penny crossed the $1 million threshold. Dealers are still hunting for the next one. And ordinary people, like you, are sitting on coins that could change their lives. This coin almost ended up in a pocket, forgotten forever, but instead, it turned into $1 million miracle. Imagine holding an ordinary penny, dull with age, nothing special at first glance. But beneath its copper surface lies one of the most shocking discoveries in American coin history. A single detail, small enough to miss with the naked eye, has transformed an everyday coin into a treasure worth up to $1.5 million. Collectors still whisper about it. Dealers scramble for it. And ordinary Americans continue to unknowingly spend it every single day. The story begins in 1964, a year of transition. America was changing. President Kennedy had been assassinated the year before. The nation was grieving, and the US Mint was under immense pressure to strike billions of coins to keep up with the booming economy. In the chaos, mistakes happened. And some of those mistakes produced the rarest, most valuable pennies the world has ever seen, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, the Denver Mint was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of 1964 pennies. Most were perfectly normal, copper coins that blended in with the billions already circulating. But hidden among them were error coins so rare, so unusual, that they've become legendary. Some were double dies, where the date or lettering appears doubled. Others were struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny minted on a dime blank. Each error is like a fingerprint, unique, impossible to duplicate. And each one, when authenticated, can skyrocket in value. Collectors were shocked when the first 1964D error cent surfaced at auction. A coin pulled from circulation, with nothing more than a small doubling in the date, ended up selling for tens of thousands. But that was only the beginning. Over time, as more unusual specimens were discovered, the value climbed higher and higher, eventually reaching the unbelievable figure of over $1 million for the rarest examples. But here's the twist: most people never notice the signs. Most of these valuable pennies are still out there, sitting in jars, drawers, and piggy banks, hiding in plain sight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He found a 1964D cent with a dramatic double die obverse, the date and lettering clearly doubled. At first, he thought it was just damage. But after showing it to a local dealer, his life changed forever. The coin was authenticated, graded, and eventually sold at auction for a price that made headlines. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubling can be subtle or dramatic, but if you don't look closely, it just looks like a normal penny. Collectors who know what to look for have turned their loose change into fortunes. And then, there are the wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 1964D penny struck not on a copper planchet, but on a silver dime blank. The coin would look lighter, thinner, and shine differently. These are the holy grail of minting mistakes, and examples have sold for six figures, or more. But what if I told you some of these errors are so well hidden that even seasoned collectors overlook them? That's why attention to detail is everything. A misplaced mint mark, a slight misalignment, even the faintest doubling of Lincoln's profile, all can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Collectors were stunned when a 1964D penny with a missing mint mark surfaced. Experts debated whether it was intentional, a machine error, or an overlooked variety. In the end, rarity drove the price through the roof. Dealers are still hunting for another one. But the story doesn't end there. Every few years, another 1964D penny makes headlines. A coin pulled from a child's collection. A penny discovered in a change jar after decades. Each discovery renews the frenzy, reminding collectors that treasures still hide among ordinary coins, and that frenzy only grows. Today, with online auctions and grading services, even ordinary people can turn their loose change into a fortune overnight. The demand is skyrocketing. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on certified examples. And collectors whisper about who might discover the next $1 million penny. The 1964D Lincoln cent is still everywhere. Billions were made. And that means the odds of finding one of these rare varieties are not impossible. It's like a lottery ticket hidden in your pocket change. First, examine the date. Look for clear doubling in the numbers, especially in the 1964. If the digits appear doubled or shadowed, you may be holding a treasure. Next, study the mint mark. On rare occasions, the D is misplaced, repunched, or even missing. Each variation adds value. Finally, weigh the coin. A normal copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin is significantly lighter or heavier, it could be a wrong planchet error worth thousands, or even millions. But what happened next for one collector proves how life-changing this can be. A man in Colorado found a 1964D penny that felt just slightly different in his hand. He almost spent it, but something about the shine caught his eye. When weighed, it came in at 2.5 grams instead of 3.11. His coin had been struck on a silver dime blank. After grading, it sold for hundreds of thousands, enough to pay off his mortgage and change his life forever. Collectors call it the dream find. And it's a dream that could belong to anyone willing to look closely, but here's the final warning: don't be fooled by damage. Many pennies look strange because of wear, scratches, or exposure to chemicals. True errors show consistent doubling, clean mint mark anomalies, or exact weight differences. That's why authentication is key. Get your coin graded, and you could unlock its real value. This coin almost slipped through someone's hands as just another penny, but it went on to be valued at over $1 million. Imagine dropping 1 cent on the ground, bending down to pick it up, and realizing you're holding a fortune. That's the unbelievable story of the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, a coin that could change your life in an instant. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. Copper-colored, small, familiar. But beneath its ordinary surface lies a secret that stunned collectors and dealers across America. This is not just pocket change, it's a potential $1 million miracle. And tonight, we're going to unravel the mystery of why this coin, struck in 1995 without a mint mark, has collectors scrambling, searching, and sometimes paying fortunes that defy logic. But before we reveal the shocking details, let me ask you this: how many pennies have you handled in your life? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe millions? Every single one you've ever touched could have been the one. And if you've ever tossed a penny aside without a second thought, you might have unknowingly thrown away a treasure worth more than your house. So, what makes the 1995 no-mint mark penny so special? Why are experts calling it one of the most valuable modern cents in U.S. history? The answer lies deep in the world of minting errors, secret varieties, and collector obsession. And once you understand this, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. The United States Mint in 1995 was producing billions of pennies. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, the San Francisco Mint, all working around the clock. Most of these pennies were destined to live short, uneventful lives in cash registers, piggy banks, and forgotten jars. But in that massive production storm, mistakes were made. And those mistakes turned a simple coin into a life-changing jackpot. Now, here's where the story takes a twist that left collectors stunned. One particular run of 1995 pennies left the mint without a visible mint mark. At first, nobody noticed. They blended in, indistinguishable from the billions of other coins. But over time, sharp-eyed collectors began to spot strange variations: the doubling of letters, unusual clarity in Lincoln's profile, and most importantly, the complete absence of a mint mark. That missing detail was everything, and here's the part that shocked the coin world: some of these 1995 no-mint mark pennies began appearing in auctions. At first, they sold for a few $100s. Then a few thousand. But as word spread, the feeding frenzy began. Suddenly, a penny that could have bought you nothing more than a stick of gum was commanding life-changing prices. But what happened next stunned everyone. One of these coins sold for a jaw-dropping price that pushed past $1 million. Yes, a single 1-cent coin, sold for more money than most people will ever see in their lifetime. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers were rushing to secure any example they could find. And everyday Americans began scouring their change jars in desperation, hoping lightning might strike twice. Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? Because rarity rules the coin world. And when a coin is not only rare but tied to a mysterious error, demand skyrockets. Add the fact that the 1995 penny was a modern issue, something people still carry in their wallets, and you have the perfect recipe for hysteria. But here's the detail most people miss: not every 1995 penny without a mint mark is worth millions. The secret is in the doubling. Look closely at the word liberty. Look carefully at the phrase, "In God we trust." If the letters show strong doubling, crisp, unmistakable, almost like a shadowed outline, you might be holding one of the most valuable error coins of the 20th century, and that tiny detail, invisible to most people, is the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1 million. Collectors were shocked when early finds began trickling into coin shops. One dealer in New York recalled a man walking in with a coffee can of loose change. Inside the can sat a 1995 double-die penny without a mint mark. He almost didn't check it. But when he did, his heart nearly stopped. That coin later sold at auction for a staggering sum that put the collector's kids through college, but the most unbelievable story came from a Midwest family. A boy found a 1995 penny in his father's old dresser drawer. It looked ordinary. But something about the lettering caught his eye. They had it appraised, and when the expert confirmed what it was, their lives changed forever. That penny, a coin worth only 1 cent to most people, was valued at over $1.5 million. Think about that for a moment. A simple coin, forgotten in a drawer for decades, transformed into a fortune. How many drawers in America hold similar secrets? How many coffee cans, piggy banks, or old jars are quietly hiding million-dollar pennies, and the race to find them hasn't stopped? Even now, collectors scan through 1995 pennies with magnifying glasses, flashlights, and microscopes, desperate to find the doubling that could mean financial freedom. Auction houses still whisper about the legendary sales, and every new discovery reignites the frenzy, but here's where the story twists again: many fakes are out there. Dealers warn of people altering ordinary coins to mimic the rare double die. Some scratch away mint marks, hoping to fool buyers. But experts can spot the fraud instantly. The true million-dollar penny has crisp doubling that cannot be faked, a fingerprint of history left by the mint itself. Grab a magnifying glass. Look at the word Liberty. Are the letters doubled? Not faintly, not blurred, but strongly, unmistakably doubled. Step 2, check, in God we trust. If the doubling leaps out, you may have struck gold. Step 3, look at the date. The year 1995 should show the doubling most clearly on the numbers. If all 3 signs are present, you're holding something extraordinary, but don't stop there. The absence of a mint mark is critical. If you see a D or an S on the coin, it's not the million-dollar variety. Only the Philadelphia struck, no mint mark version carries this hidden fortune, and if you're lucky enough to find one, protect it immediately. Do not clean it. Do not scratch it. Place it in a protective case and seek a professional appraisal. One careless move could destroy its value forever. Collectors still whisper about the ones that got away. The pennies people spent at the grocery store, dropped in vending machines, or tossed into fountains. Each one a lost fortune, each one a story of what could have been. The greatest treasures often hide in plain sight. That 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. And if it carries the doubling that collectors crave, it's worth not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but over $1 million, yes, a penny. A single copper coin. The kind you've walked past, ignored, even thrown away. That could be the key to a life-changing discovery. So the next time you see a 1995 penny, stop. Look closely. Because one small detail could turn your spare change into a fortune. And never forget, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One of them is valued at over $1 million, yes, a single 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial cent, the coin you've seen 1,000 times, the one you might have spent on a pack of gum, has shocked the coin world with prices soaring as high as $1.30 million. How could such an ordinary coin hide such extraordinary value? That's the mystery we're about to uncover. It began in 1991, a year when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies. Philadelphia struck untold millions, and none carried a mint mark. On the surface, every coin looked the same: ordinary copper-plated zinc, the familiar portrait of Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial gleaming on the reverse. Nothing unusual at all, but collectors know better. Because hidden among those billions are coins with flaws, quirks, and tiny variations that transform a penny into a treasure chest. And in 1991, one mistake changed everything. What happened next stunned even the most experienced numismatists. A collector, sifting through rolls of ordinary change, noticed a faint irregularity. It wasn't obvious at first glance. But the weight, the strike, something about the coin didn't match the rest. He sent it to be graded, and the results shook the hobby to its core. This was no ordinary penny. This was a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial cent with a dramatic minting anomaly. It was a coin so rare, so unexpected, that when it surfaced, it sparked a frenzy. Dealers rushed to verify it. Auction houses scrambled to include it in their headline sales. Collectors whispered about it like a secret code. And when the hammer fell at auction, the price didn't just surprise people, it redefined what a modern penny could be worth, over $1 million, for a single cent. Think about that. A coin almost everyone ignored. A coin that could have been spent at a vending machine. Suddenly worth more than most people's houses. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn, because the 1991 no-mint mark penny doesn't just have one type of value. Some carry double die errors, where Lincoln's face or the lettering looks slightly doubled. Others were struck off-center, leaving part of the design cut away, exposing a crescent of blank metal. Still others were minted on the wrong planchets altogether, struck on dime stock or transitional blanks. Each of these tiny details can catapult a penny's value from a single cent to thousands, or, in those rarest of cases, over $1 million. Collectors were stunned. How could something so small carry so much weight? How many of these were still hiding in jars, drawers, or piggy banks across America? And here's the haunting thought: the mint never announced how many errors left the presses. No one knows the true number. It could be just a handful. It could be dozens. They could be sitting in circulation right now, but here's what most people miss, and it's the reason so many treasures slip through the cracks. The 1991 penny seems so ordinary. Most collectors don't even glance at it. They assume it's common, worthless. But the trained eye knows better. The weight can be off. The edges can reveal mistakes. The lettering, the date, even the surface itself, they all hide secrets if you know where to look. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it could happen again. You're at the grocery store. You get a handful of coins back. They clink together, unremarkable. You toss them into your pocket. But inside that pile, a fortune is hiding. That's exactly how discoveries are made. Ordinary moments, life-changing outcomes, and every time a rare 1991 penny comes to light, it reignites the hunt. Collectors start pulling jars off shelves. Families search through old piggy banks. Dealers scramble to recheck their stock. Because nobody wants to miss out on the next $1 million surprise. But what makes this penny truly legendary isn't just its rarity. It's the symbolism. A single cent, the lowest denomination, the coin most people overlook, proving it can change someone's life forever. Dealers have admitted that when one of these coins shows up, the excitement is electric. Phones start ringing. Bidders prepare for battle. And when the auctioneer begins, the room falls silent. The price climbs higher, higher still. Until it finally lands in the realm of the unbelievable, over $1 million for a penny that almost went unnoticed. First, check the weight. Ordinary 1991 pennies should weigh about 2.5 grams. But transitional errors, struck on leftover copper planchets, weigh closer to 3.1 grams. That tiny difference can mean a leap from 1 cent to hundreds of thousands. Second, study the date and the lettering. Look for doubling, slight shifts, or distortions. The doubling may appear on "In God We Trust" or the date itself. These double die varieties are incredibly valuable. Third, check the strike and alignment. Some coins were struck slightly off-center, creating an unbalanced look. Others may have been struck with mismatched dies, leading to odd combinations never meant to exist. And finally, always check condition. Even the rarest coin can lose value if it's worn down. But if you find a pristine specimen, brilliant luster, sharp details, you may be holding the next record-breaking piece. Collectors have been shocked by how high these coins have climbed. Ordinary people have pulled them from circulation, sent them for grading, and walked away with life-changing money. The next discovery could happen tomorrow. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore that pile of pennies. Look closer. Weigh them. Study them. Because history has already proven what's possible. One man's penny became $1 million story. Yours could be next.